Well, hello from beautiful Audrain County, Missouri. Sheriff Matt Aller. It's a beautiful, beautiful 21-degree day here. I think I've laughed and joked a couple of times talking about Missouri weather. The last video I think that I posted was on that Model 640, and it was not made yesterday when I posted it. But it was made, I think, maybe a day or two before that, like 50 degrees or something. Got down to 11 here at the farm last night. And yesterday, I know I laugh and joke and say that the snow plow's still on the UTV because it may snow a foot. So it's really no joke when I say that it may snow a foot tomorrow in Missouri. It snowed about 3.5, 4 inches here at my house. Snowed a little less in some other places, and then according to the weatherman, come Monday we'll be back in the 50s again. So Missouri weather is like bipolar, man, for real. I wish people would get, gosh darn camera, I wish people would get their weather and keep it in their own backyard, because bipolar Missouri weather is kind of awful. You can see I looked around in the shop today and tried to find some neat dramatic stuff to shoot at, but we're all out of empty aerosol cans, and my son actually told me to quit shooting his natural light because he was leaving that for the next barbecue that we're going to have. But anyway, so right there you can see that we've got my wife's fine Chinette, and today I really want to take a look at a new gun. I think I gave you guys a short reel sneak peek, but today we're going to look at the Taurus 327 Federal Magnum. Now, I've been carrying that around for a couple of days. It's empty. Been carrying it around empty, been carrying another gun, but I've been carrying it in a 1791 holster made for a J-frame. Pretty good. The draw stroke's nice. It comes in and out good. It's a little bigger than a J-frame, but not by much. It carries well. That being said, so it's the Taurus 327, Model 327, and it's chambered in 327 Federal Magnum. Now, I've told you guys that most of the guns that I talk about do have a story behind them, and this one does too. My brother-in-law is an old cop. He's started his career, I think, when I was 5 in 1977. And his 75th birthday was a few days ago, so Suzanne, my wife, and I took my sister and brother-in-law out to dinner, and we were talking gun stuff, and my brother-in-law said, hey, I've noticed over the past several times that I've done anything with my 9mm pocket pistol, I'm having a very hard time with the hand strength to operate the slide, which at 75 years old can be expected. And he said, I think I want you to go on a mission and find me a small revolver to carry. So that immediately got me to thinking back to that Smith & Wesson Model 31 in chamber in Smith & Wesson, 32 Smith & Wesson long. Nice little revolver, totally pocket-sized, but my brother-in-law is a pretty big dude. He's like 6'7", probably 275-ish. Really, really big dude, and not necessarily unfit, just getting old. So I thought, well, he can handle more recoil than a 32 Smith & Wesson. But, the 32 or 327 Federal Magnum gives him 4 different options of ammunition to put in that gun. Well, 5 if you count the 32 auto, but not really reliable. Gives him the option of 32 Smith & Wesson, 32 Smith & Wesson long, 32 H&R Magnum, and 327 Federal. I've never shot the 327 Federal Magnum. The other calibers I have. So anyway, I went on a mission, called the boys over at Graff & Sons in Mexico, and said, you know what, find me 2 J-frame-ish, because I looked, Smith & Wesson did not make a J-frame, a current production J-frame in 327 anymore, which I think they're missing the boat. And they said, hey, we can get our hands on a Taurus 327 Federal Magnum. I said, you know what, order me 2. Get me one for my brother-in-law and one for me. So that's what they did. I have not given my brother-in-law his. Again, just picked this up a couple of days ago. Kind of been dry firing it and messing with it, but you're going to get to see the first shots. I'm going to start out with the 32 Smith & Wesson Long. That's the least powerful cartridge that I have here. Just to look at accuracy and look at function. The gun seems to function okay empty. Now, when you start putting it under the pressure of recoil, strange things may happen. I've never owned a Taurus revolver. I'm a Smith & Wesson guy, but for the most part, I mean, it seems to be quality. The action is not horrible. It's not a Smith & Wesson, but there's no stack. There's no hitches in it. It actually is pretty smooth to pull. The single action pull is pretty good. I had the option of stainless or black. I'm not a stainless gun guy, so I ordered them both in black. It's just a personal preference. But this has got that matte black finish on it, so you know, the finish may not last long if it's carried much. The sights are fairly generous. It's a pinned sight, but the channel there is wide. It's got a nice wide blade. I'll probably wind up painting that blade white so it contrasts with the notch in the rear. These guns, I noticed, this particular model does not have a lock on it, which makes me happy. There's no lawyer lock on this model of Taurus revolver. Why? I don't know. The extractor seems to go out in and out okay. It's not gritty. All in all, for I think a $340 gun. So my options that I could actually get, that Grass could get for me, was the Ruger LCR and this. I initially thought about the Ruger LCR, but $700 a whack, actually over 700 now for one of those guns. That's out of reach for what you get. You know, you're getting a little plastic revolver, or a little polymer revolver with a steel cylinder and a steel line barrel for like $750. I'm not willing to pay that. I might pay that for a Smith & Wesson, but I'm certainly not going to pay that for a plastic gun. So I opted for these because I could get 2 of these for what it would cost me to get 1 Ruger. So that being said, I think this is probably going to turn out to be a nice little gun. The weight on this, according to Taurus, is 22 ounces. The 9mm pocket pistol that my brother-in-law is carrying is 22 ounces, or around 22. It's like 21 and some change. So he's not going to notice a difference in carry, I don't think. And of course, in 1977, when he started in police work, he came up on a revolver, so he's no stranger to a revolver and how it functions, especially being a cop. And I think he may have shot some early competitions way back in the day. But anyway, that being said, I'm going to throw on a set of ears and do a little shooting. I'm going to shoot from 7 yards, and then so I'll have to figure this out because I've only got 2 paper plates hung, and I got 3 different loads I want to shoot. So we'll see how they print. We may be able to figure out which load's which. If not, we'll come up with plan B as far as how we figure out what's what. Getting kind of cold. This is also a 6-shot gun, not a 5-shot gun, for being a small frame, so pretty cool that you get that extra round for the same size frame as most 5-shots. So I'm going to move up here. Hopefully you can see me and the target. I'm going to try to get up to around 7 yards, so I'll be back. Well, that didn't print horribly. We'll go up and look at it here shortly. I shot the top paper plate. I knew I pulled one. Knew it when I pulled the trigger. Now I'm going to move up to the 32 H&R mag. These are Hornady Critical Defense. 85, I think, grain, 80 grain. And they're rated at 1150 at the muzzle, but that's probably out of a 6-inch barrel, so you'll lose some. You'll lose some out of these short-barreled guns. But let's see how these print. Those were 98 grain 32 Smith & Wesson longs. They actually printed pretty much point of aim. So I would expect these may print a little lower, but we'll see. It's amazing what happens when you take your time. I've got 3 really nice shots, and I pulled the other 3. And at least one of them I knew it when I pulled it. So, but they printed real nice. Printed right to the point of aim. Go down here and look. Printed real nice, actually. So I knew I pulled that shot. This is the 327 or the 32 H&R mag. I knew I pulled that shot. Those felt really nice. So these, I probably had a trigger problem, I'm guessing, just not being used to the gun. These were all the 32 Smith & Wesson longs. They printed pretty nice. So I think what I'm going to do, you can see over here there's a shipping label. Pull that staple out of there. There's nothing even close to that shipping label as far as bullet holes go. I think the 327 Federal Magnums, that's going to be my point of aim. And we're probably at about, I don't know, 8 or 10 yards here. So, I can get that back where it belongs. So the 327 Federal Magnum is also Hornady Critical Defense, and it's also an 80 grain, but it's clipping along at 1,400 feet a second, so it's going to be probably much more snappy. Probably not 357 snappy, but it's going to be snappy, and it's probably going to be super loud and have quite a bit of muzzle blast out of a barrel this short. My hands are starting to get cold at 20 degrees, so this is probably going to be a pretty short one. All right, 327 Federal Magnum. Pretty snappy, but man, I'll tell you, I've never shot a 327 Federal. Really nice shooting. Very pleasant. I think even somebody that's recoil sensitive could probably handle that. And I don't even like this grip because I can't get my whole hand around it. My pinky's underneath of it. I thought about changing the grip, but the way it shoots, I may just leave it the way it is, because it actually very pleasant shooting gun. So you can see that shipping label now. You got 2, 4, and 6. So I mean, all in all, from 10 yards, it pretty much shoots to point of aim. If I could get the feeling in my hands and pick a nicer day, probably. But all in all, it shoots really nice, and would probably make a really good going to town social gun for even somebody like me. You know, an 80 grain bullet moving at 1,400 feet a second, well, probably more like 11 or 12 out of that 2-inch gun is nothing to scoff at. And very shootable, very controllable as far as recoil goes. So I'll tell you, I have thought for a long time that the 32 caliber stuff really gets overlooked, and this kind of reconfirms that. But I did not fire this in double action. Let me load it and shoot it in double action to see how the function is, because one of you guys will probably watch this video and bring that up and say, hey dude, you didn't shoot anything double action. How's the double action on it? Dry, the double action's pretty nice, but let me load this thing up, and gosh, I can't even hardly grab these bullets. My hands are so cold. All right. I'll probably shoot the, let's see. I'll shoot that top paper plate again, then we'll maybe take a look. Oh, by the way, this is 32 H&R Magnum. Yes, 32 H&R Mag, not 327. So. Look at that. I'm so used to 5 that I only loaded 5. That last one went off and I was like, uh-oh, we got a malfunction, but there's an empty hole. You know, these little revolvers, you get used to shooting 5 and there's just 5, but it functioned fine. Double action. Now let me shoot, I want to shoot the 327 Federal Magnum. Cylinder full of those in double action. See how it shakes out. Shoots nice. I have no complaints. You know, it's going to take me a little time to get used to the trigger because it doesn't have any stack, but it has a noticeable well, I guess it does, has a noticeable stack before it breaks. So that caused me to probably jerk a couple of times, but so the 32 H&R Mag stuff was in this top plate in double action, and then the 327 Federal Magnum was in this lower one. So all in all, well, I did it again. I managed to hit the button on the phone and shut it off, I think, before we got done talking about the double action stuff. So I'm gonna try to keep my giant thumbs off the dang phone screen, but you can see this was the 32 H&R Mag, 327 Federal Mag and double action. Now 6 of those holes in each of those targets were already there, but all in all, my opinion is this would probably make a fairly decent social gun. Recoil with all of those rounds was just very, very pleasant. I don't know if I said this on the last part, but don't necessarily like this grip, but I'll probably leave it. It actually, even though I don't like having my pinky dangling, it actually is very shootable and very controllable in the format that it's in. So, you know, $350, $60, $70 gun. It's not a Smith & Wesson, I will tell you. Trigger pull's okay, but it's not Smith & Wesson or a Colt, but the trigger pull is actually not too bad. I will probably wind up carrying this gun. If nothing else, I'll throw it in my back pocket when I go fishing. But I will probably wind up carrying this from time to time. It actually fits in my Galco ankle holster. So, of course, it'll take, before it's my only gun that I carry, it's going to take some dependability testing, but and reliability. But I mean, all in all, I really don't have any complaints about this lower end $350-ish gun. And for recoil management and shootability, you could certainly do a lot worse than 32, especially the H&R Magnum. 327 was super easy to control, but the 320 or 32 H&R Magnum, man, it was awesome. And you know, 80 grain bullet moving along 1,000 feet a second, that's nothing to scoff at either. So, you know, if you're thinking about a 32 revolver, since Smith & Wesson nor Colt has anything current, I think, in production, for the money, I'm pretty pleased. I was a little worried, but I'm pretty pleased with this Taurus 327, and I think it'll find its way into my pocket from time to time. So, from beautiful Audrain County, Missouri, don't forget to like and subscribe. Sheriff Matt Aller, have a great day.